The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network. It's time for the Guillotine Grapevine, a podcast for the land of 10,000 wrestlers. 10,000 wrestlers. Now, here's your host, award-winning wrestling broadcast journalist, Jason Bryant.
Episode 26 of the Guillotine Grapevine, as the Minnesota Golden Gopher wrestling team has finished up its regular season home schedule with a 24-20 loss to the fourth-ranked Buckeyes of Ohio State. The Gophers will finish up their regular season before heading to the Big Ten Championships at Indiana with a non-conference duel with the Cyclones of Iowa State in Ames this coming weekend. With the Gophers finishing up their home schedule, they are 6-5 in the year, 13th in the country in the most recent NWCA USA Today Division I coaches poll. And the last duel coming on a Sunday, senior day for numerous Gopher wrestling seniors, but two that have been stalwarts in the lineup in the upper weights for the last couple years, Brett Pfarr out of Le Sueur and Michael Kroells out of Belle Plaine. So we had a chance to talk with Gopher head coach Brandon Eggum following the loss to Ohio State, and also had an opportunity to talk with Michael Kroells and Brett Pfarr about their careers in Minnesota and what it meant to be a Minnesotan going to wrestle for the Gophers. So here's Coach Eggum, followed by Michael Kroells and Brett Pfarr. You will hear the Minnesota Daily's Kyle Steinberg on a number of these interviews as he was working for his budding journalism career at the Minnesota Daily, asking some pretty good questions here, getting his feet wet with the world of college wrestling. So Kyle and I working this interview. So some of the early questions you'll hear in each portion of the interview are from the Minnesota Daily. Then I will follow up. You'll hear the dulcet tones of yours truly here on episode 26 of the Guillotine Grapevine. As always, I want to thank you for listening to this program. It's a pleasure and an honor to be part of the Minnesota wrestling community, the land of 10,000 wrestlers, as Jeff Bishi and his crew at the Guillotine have welcomed me to their website for the Minnesota amateur wrestling community, where it's a great time to be a Minnesota wrestling fan. If you are listening to this show for the first time, or are you a frequent listener to this show and you want to know more about the state of wrestling in Minnesota, you need to go to theguillotine.com and check out how to subscribe. It is $20 a year. It is one of the most worthwhile values in all of wrestling. It is one of the absolute finest publications in the country. And I've traveled this great land. I've traveled this land as far as the eye can see. I've been to Uzbekistan, folks. Uzbekistan doesn't have anything like this. Russia might, but I can't read Cyrillic, so what good is that to me? You have a fine publication here in the state of Minnesota. You have a fine publication based in the state of Minnesota. If you're a wrestling fan anywhere else, you're just more knowledgeable by subscribing to the Guillotine. $20 a year. Go to theguillotine.com. Find out how you can subscribe to this just the tremendous piece of information and a resource. So that's what I've got for you. Enjoy Brandon Eggum, Michael Kroells, Brett Pfarr here on episode 26 of the Guillotine Grapevine.
Okay, just starting off, Ohio State was a bit depleted there without Snyder, obviously. But what are your thoughts on such a close duel with number 4 team in the country?
I mean, it was a really good duel. We knew we had a chance to win it. That was kind of our decision to throw Lezak out. I'm sure you guys heard we weighed in Petrie because he had the flu. He had been puking all day Friday, Saturday, and I told him, his weight was light because of that. That's the unfortunate thing of having the flu, I guess. But we said make weight, and if we felt like we're in a good spot, depending on where we draw, we'll make the call. And, you get Brett has a nice win, and then Kroells gets bonus, and we said let's go for it. So it was unfortunate that one there could have been a really nice win here at home over the number 4 ranked team. But overall, some guys did some good things. The other thing that killed us is just giving up some bonus points, giving up a fall at 33, giving up a fall at 3. I think we gave up 3 falls, am I correct? 74 and 74. So, but giving up those bonus points, that makes the difference there. So we can't do that. So.
Sure. Can you talk a little bit more about Lezak's match? He jumped out to a lead there. Did he just kind of run out of gas, or what happened there?
Well, I'm sure, with the flu, he's a little bit drained, like I said. So we knew he looked pretty good in the first period, we thought, going through it. And it just seemed like at the end, similar to probably last week, started holding on, and then the flu on top of it. It was just something that was unfortunate. Just didn't finish the match. So.
Knowing that they didn't bring Kyle Snyder, like I mentioned, how happy were you with what Kroells did there at heavyweight to get the tech fall and kind of get you guys out to a big lead?
Well, Snyder's a different beast, no doubt about it. So we knew we had opportunities there to get a major, and at the end, once he sealed the major, we were kind of pulling to see, and he scored a lot of late third period points to get a tech fall. So that's an extra bonus point there. So that was big. We felt strongly favored in that match without Snyder, and so to come away with a tech fall or a pin was something we were really hopeful if we wanted to be in contention of winning this duel. So he did a great job. Senior night, it was a great finish for both Brett and Kroells there.
After Kingsley dropped the match there at 149, Short came back with that quick pin. How big was that, and what did you see from him in his match?
That was a great momentum swing again for us. Those are big points. Those are bonus points, make it different. You could see it fired up the guys on the sidelines because we knew we had an opportunity to be in it. But, Short did a really good job. Whenever he's focused on the things that he can control, he wrestles when he's aggressive, he wrestles really, really well. And so he went out there, and you could see initially took a handful of shots right off the bat and goes for gets a nice hip toss there and just continues to build. So it was awesome to get that pin. That was a big momentum swing for us. It gave us another chance to win.
Yeah. What were you kind of thinking then after that match, knowing that Ohio State had number 1 and number 10 coming up in those last two matches?
Well, it was a tough, those are going to be points, but we had to continue to battle. Chris has wrestled some top-ranked guys, really well. Meyer from Iowa, I thought, was a great match. It was a takedown away from potentially winning it with less than a minute left in that match. And so we knew that he could, if he went out and just was physical, he could hopefully keep the match in striking distance. But Jordan, it was great. So it wasn't, on paper, we knew that was going to be a tough one.
How happy are you with a more competitive match against another top team, especially coming off the loss to Iowa last week?
It's great. Obviously, this is the end of the season. You want guys winning and doing well. So there's a lot of positives. We got Iowa State next week, so hopefully we can go down there and continue to wrestle well. We've been healthy. That's been a fortunate thing. I think the guys have done a really good job of maintaining their weight and doing all those things that are important. So we could be a good tournament team. We see our guys are competitive. There is confidence in knowing that you just competed against number 4 ranked team in the country, and they got a lot of great guys and wrestled a good match. It would have been, like I said, it would have been great to have a win here. We could see the opening there potentially, but we didn't capture it. So
when it comes down to you looking at starting out with your seniors, you got Pfarr and Kroells. What have they meant to the program of the last couple of years? Both of them didn't start their freshman year. They did see time in the lineup, but what's it mean to have those two guys anchor the upperweights here at Minnesota with such a proud tradition of upperweight wrestlers?
I can't say enough nice things about those guys. They've been great leaders, obviously, on the mat, and as most people probably know, they're academic All-Americans. They're just, overall, the way they live their lives and stuff, they're just great leaders. So they're great for these young guys, and that's important. But the way that they've competed for, especially the last few years when they've been in the lineup, is great. That's what you need. You want guys on your bench to be able to look out there and see guys that are trying to get bonus points and doing great things, and they do exactly that. So they're going to be missed, no doubt, in the future, but we're just hoping they continue to do those great things, and they could have a great couple weeks coming up here, a great Big Ten and NCAA for us. That'd make a big difference on our team finish, no doubt about it.
What do those type of guys mean when they come into a program and they're not, a lot of people are so focused on being 4-time All-American, 4-time this, 4-time that. They had to fight their freshman year for those spots through a red shirt as well. So, look at it, three trips to the show is what they got. And what does it mean to have kids like that these days come in and go, they're not really focused on like, okay, you know what, if I don't make the show 4 times, that's not a big deal. I'm here to help the team.
Yeah, they're exactly what you want in a program. Like, these guys do put team first, and exactly to the point that you mentioned there. They're all about doing what's right for the team. And for like Brett Pfarr, he had Kevin Steinhaus, who was in front of him, and for Kroells there was Tony Nelson. Like, these are great guys, but their mindset was perfect because they came in knowing that these were guys that could give them opportunities to be the best that they could possibly be. And so guys that are hungry and want to take advantage of those opportunities versus kids that are, maybe looking at, well, where do I fit in? Am I guaranteed the spot? Like, that makes a difference. They took advantage of those opportunities, and as a result, being positive, optimistic, and working hard, they've had great careers. It's not over yet. They got a lot of work to do, but this could be, for Brett and Michael, this could be a fantastic thing as they get older like the rest of us and look back. They say, wow, these are two hard-nosed kids that came in and did something far exceeding what anybody probably originally in high school ever thought they were capable of. But they knew they were. As a coaching staff, we could see it in them, and we're proud of those guys.
We had talked after the Iowa match about you possibly wrestling Kyle Snyder. Obviously, he didn't wrestle today. What was your mindset, kind of going after not Kyle Snyder?
Like I said, he's a super tough wrestler. It would have been great for me to wrestle him personally. But, I knew going out there, obviously get the first takedown, win the match first. But after that, I knew I needed some bonus points if we were going to, win this duel because they have a great team. And, they had a lot of their guys were going to have a good chance to get bonus points. So I just went after there and just kept chugging, one takedown at a time, one turn at a time. And, things ended up working out well. So.
Sure. What are your thoughts about how the team responded coming off of that Iowa loss last weekend?
I thought it's really tough to lose those tight matches like that, and I think everyone does a good job of just leaving it in the past, because the worst thing you can do is just hang on to that loss and try and carry that with you into your next match. Cause it's one thing to be angry about it and use that anger to change, but it's another thing to be angry at yourself. Feel sorry for yourself and then not change anything and just wallow in self-pity. That's never going to help you. So, I thought the guys did a good job. What's done is done. Same thing with this week. You can't affect anything in the past. All you can do is try and change and make yourself better. So everyone did a pretty good job of that, and we just got to do it again for this next week.
Sure. It was last home match of the season, senior day. What are your emotions, especially after going out and getting a tech fall against number 4 team in the country?
For me, it's hard not to just look back. It's crazy that it's over for me here. The fans have just been so great. It's so fun to wrestle in this atmosphere. Any little thing, even in matches I remember where, I might have lost the first takedown or been getting ridden out. Any little thing I do, the fans will get behind you and help you get back into matches. So it's great, so great to have that here. It just made it so easy for me as a wrestler to be excited. So like I said, it's kind of sad that this is it. This is the end of my road here. But, I guess all I can do is move on and hope that other guys get to experience the same things that I did when they moved through here.
It seemed like there were quite a few momentum shifts today during the match, a lot of lead changes. How do you as a captain kind of keep guys focused, especially the younger guys?
Like I said, it's one thing you gotta I think of it as almost brainwashing yourself. You think that anything anybody else does good for us, it's momentum, we're building it, but anything that goes well for the other team doesn't affect this. That's how you got to think. And, sometimes it's not exactly possible to do that. But as an athlete, I almost brainwash myself sometimes. It's like, all right, well, that match is over. It doesn't matter. We're going to come back and get this next one, And a lot of times in this, guys responded. Jake Short got a pin when we needed it there, at the end. we were kind of out of the duel at that point. And then he gets that pin, and it puts us in a position where if we win any of those last 2 matches, or even if, we keep them just to regular wins, then we're in that match. So, I don't know. It's tough to. I kind of forgot where the original question was. I moved away so far from it. But where do we start again? Sorry.
Just how did you keep the younger guys?
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's just trying to keep them, focused on themselves, I guess, is the big thing. Like after the half, it was disappointing to see Lezak lose. Obviously, that's one we wanted to pick up. But he's just been puking his guts out all weekend. So he wrestled tough. He still got to find a way to win those matches. But at the same time, he was hurting bad. He threw up everywhere after his match, too. And he wrestled pretty tough. But at the same time, you can't let that stuff affect you. And you just tell those guys, just worry about yourself. It doesn't matter, no matter how hard you cheer out here, how much you get into the match, stress yourself about it. You have no effect on the outcome of their matches. So just focus on yourself.
When it comes to talking about the leadership, this is a situation you've had to do all year with the coaching situation the way it is, with Jay's dismissal, Brandon now being named the head coach. What have you told the guys all year, you and Brett and the other seniors, that okay, we got some adversity here. How did you tell these guys to, and how did you expect them to respond in situations like this all year that you really can't brace for?
Yeah, obviously it was tough having Jay be dismissed, like you said, and Eggum still being in transition at the beginning of the year. But I think a big thing that helped is instead of, focusing on the right now, just look back at the tradition of Minnesota wrestling and look at the guys that came before us, how they wrestled, what they did, and, try and emulate those guys. Say it can be done. These guys did great things here, and we can do great things too. And we got to be around. The alumni come back all the time, so I guess it was just, focus on what guys have done before. It doesn't matter what our current situation is. It can be done. Just follow what these guys have done before, and we'll get to where we need to be.
Looking at your career, when you made the decision to come here out of Scott West, and which high school were you at? Jordan or Belle Plaine? I don't even know. Okay, Belle Plaine, because Nick Slack confuses me with that all the time. But so coming out of Scott West's program, so to speak, when you came here, you were going to sit behind Tony Nelson for a year. A lot of people look at that as saying, okay, I don't want to. I want to start all 4 years. I want to be a 4-time qualifier. I want to be a 4-time All-American. Tony Nelson was here. You were behind him. When you look back at your decision to come here, why was this the right one?
I mean, for me, I just looked at it as, I'm not going to get that year to start, but I get to wrestle with a 2-time national champ. My first year he was here, he was already a 1-timer. After the next year, he'd won it again, so I get to train with the best guy in the country. That's irreplaceable. Guys don't get that. A lot of other guys. Look at Kyle Snyder, for example. His backup, is huge levels under him. He doesn't get a guy that's one of the toughest guys in the country to wrestle all the time, and I got that. So looking at that for me, Tony made a massive difference as who I am as a wrestler and a person, and having him was a big impact on me. I could look at it as, no, I didn't get a start that year, and maybe I didn't get a 4th All-American or an NCAA appearance or something like that, but I don't know if I'd be the wrestler that I am without the experiences I had with Tony. So it's hard to say. It's easy to look back and say one way or another, but I don't know if I go to a different school and not have the same practice partners. There's no telling. I might not be an All-American at all. I might not, be a starter. You never know what happens. So
you may not be majoring in aerospace engineering, but finally, what does it mean to be a Minnesotan wrestling for the Gophers with such a proud tradition of heavyweight wrestlers come through here?
It makes it easy for me. I know what's expected of me, and just knowing that, like I said, guys have gone out and done it before. I've seen them since I was young. I grew up here. Got to watch all those guys growing up when I was a little kid. And I didn't really understand it, but I just knew how exciting it was, to watch those guys. And knowing, like I said, that they've done it before, and that I can do the same things that they did, made it really easy for me.
Favorite Gopher upperweight of all time?
Oh, I'd have to say Colt Conrad. He was a bruiser.
Now finishing up with Gopher senior Brett Pfarr coming out here. Big win over a kid that's got, he's had a lot of momentum, number 4 in the country as a freshman. What were your thoughts going into this match on what to expect out of Colin Moore?
Collins, he's a tough wrestler. He's a good competitor. I knew he's going to come, and he's one of those guys that he likes to create a lot of action, and he'd take a lot of shots, kind of like me. So I just knew that just stick with my stuff and just go out there and have fun, and the rest will take care of itself.
Looking at his matches throughout the course of the year, it looks like he doesn't get tired. He's not a guy that wilts in the third period. When he took you down there in that third period, you're like, okay, this guy's still coming. What does the mindset change? Does it change in that situation after you'd scored on him twice before? And then did you expect him to do the freshman clam up, or did you expect him to keep coming the whole time?
Well, like I said before, I know he's always putting shots together, so I can't even quite remember what happened there. I think I kind of got caught off balance, and he got that quick takedown, but again, with the third, I always wanted to keep putting the pace and, opening up those matches. So I wanted to get another takedown in the third, and unfortunately it didn't happen. But
what did it mean for you and Michael Kroells to come out and finish your careers with 2 solid wins, kicking off the duel versus finishing the duel? How does that describe your career with you and Mike and being a 97 and heavyweight the last couple of years?
It's been very special, and Mike and I have both seen very good success. Thanks to our teammates and our coaches, and also the fans that come out here every time, and they're strong supporters of us, and it makes it really fun for me to come out here and compete. I just love it, and I'm going to miss that so much.
We've asked you this before in previous episodes of this show, but what does it mean to be a Gopher when you're from Minnesota?
This has been my dream since I was a little kid. My parents would take me up here when I was 5 years old, and I look at these guys, and they were superstars, and I wanted to be like them someday. Now to be in this position is very surreal, and I'm just trying to make the most of it now and enjoy these last few matches before my career is over.
When you look at the way the bout went tonight, your brother was on the losing end of the number 1 guy in the country, depending on the poll. What do you say to him in that situation after it comes off the mat? The bonus points played a role in the loss, but what do you tell Chris after that?
Chris, he knows. He's been around the block before. He knows that we're going to take tough losses and have some good wins sometimes, and you're just going to have to shut it off like water off a duck's back. And Chris has been getting better at that now, and it's tough. This is a Big Ten grind and Big Ten season. You're going to meet competitors like that, and you have a bad match, so be it. Look to the next week.
It's been a bit of a bizarre season for, topics that pretty much everybody knows. What's been your take on the whole situation? We asked Michael Kroells about what he said to the young guys that were coming through the situation. What did you tell the freshmen and the guys that were still young in the program when J-Rob's dismissal happened and, Brandon assumes the interim role and then now a full-time head coach? What did you say to those young guys?
I mean, we were in a very tough position. We all miss Jay dearly. He's been an awesome coach, an awesome friend of mine for, the past 4 years and, 5 years now. And it's tough, but I mean, we're excited to have Eggum now as our head coach and Becker bumping up. And I mean, these guys, they've been in the program for how long now? It's like the philosophy's the same, the structure's the same, and we're going to be back to the top in a couple of years here.
When you look back at your best memories of wrestling in this building, the Pav or Williams next door, what are some things that stand out?
I mean, I just think of I was talking to Michael about my first dual meet here was against Purdue. I got a big win, and then on a Friday, and it came out on a Sunday and beat a ranked kid from Wyoming. And I mean, that was pretty incredible for me being a freshman stepping in. And I mean, there's been so many good memories here with our team competing, and I'm going to miss it dearly.
That was Ben Stroh, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ben Stroh.
Now, and we talked about this a little bit with Kroells as well, but when you came here, I mean, you did see some time your freshman year. For the most part, you're behind a guy, Kevin Steinhaus. I mean, you're not going to start on paper that year. You did get a chance to see a lot of time in the lineup, but when you look at it, and a lot of people don't have the opportunity, they're thinking, okay, I'll get 4 years. I'll have a chance to be a four-time All-American, four-time qualifier. Why come here when you knew you weren't going to have that extra year?
Well, I mean, that was the mindset. I knew I could come here, and I may never crack the lineup. But if I did crack the lineup, I knew I could be a national champion, All-American. So it didn't matter to me to be a 4-year starter. I didn't want to get my butt kicked around the NCAA for 4 years. I wanted to be the best in the nation, so that's why I came to Minnesota.
Favorite Gopher wrestler of all time, who is it?
Ooh. Gosh, I mean, I would have to say Scott Schiller. I mean, he's been big, help in how far I've come along, and I just love the way he wrestles, and he's just a good friend of mine, so I'd say he's my favorite Gopher wrestler.
Final thoughts for Gopher Nation out there that's watched you wrestle, well, all the way from high school up to now. This is the last time you're at home.
Thanks for the support through the years. We've had some ups and downs, and I appreciate that you guys come out and bring full energy every time. Just keep it up, and I won't be in a wrestling position anymore, but I'll be here too, and let's just cheer on the next generation.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.